Order and pay our respects to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dave, you want to do roll call, please? Oh, no. It's our secretary, Bill. Sorry.
Okay, Blizzardi.
Here.
Dunn. Here. Hunway.
Here.
Sotheby.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
And Hoyer.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I would like to approve the agenda by adding new business D, Cable Commission Attorney.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Sotheby. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion.
Question?
Go ahead.
I'd like to have something answered. It's the last meeting, Chair Blizzardi sought legal opinion and confirmed Commissioner Dunn and Commissioner Hunwig be recused from discussion and vote on the station relocation matters. I'd like to see that opinion letter because I've talked to two attorneys that totally disagree. So maybe for next month we could have this opinion letter.
Okay.
And by the way, Ed Hunwig is a citizen, he's not an elected official.
I don't think I said Ed. I said you.
No, you
You
said-
and I
you
were
said
the
both.
same. Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Fisher, supported by Hunwick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Bill review.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill review July 24th through August 21st, 2017, for a total of $42,628.61. I'll second.
We have a motion by Fisher, supported by Sotheby. Roll call, please.
Dunn, yes. Fisher,
Yes.
Sotheby,
Yes.
Blizzardi,
Yes.
Hunwig.
Yes.
Did I say myself? Dunn, yes.
Okay. B, year-to-date.
I make a motion, we receive and file.
Support.
We have a motion by Sotheby, supported by Dunn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the invoice jail distribution report.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the July 2017 distribution report.
Support.
We have a motion by Fisher, supported by Hunwick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unfinished business, budget revision. Lori?
I have not been notified yet that we have the numbers, so once again, I'm asking to set that aside.
I'll move to set it aside.
I'll second that.
A motion by Dunn, supported by Sotheby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. New business, insurance for OCTV drone.
Yeah, we've been searching. We can only get 4 or 5 really legitimate insurance companies, but Elgin snooped around a bit, and David got some more information. The best one we found so far is, and I can't see right now because my eyes are all messed up.
Okay.
You boy.
There is a firm called Verify.com. The other firms basically would give you a premium based on a year. So it's $730, $875, whatever, for a $1 million liability. We found this firm called Verify.com that will actually do a pay-for-use. So you go to a location, you have a cell phone app, turn it on, it tells you It shows you a map of where you are. You say you're going to operate within a quarter, a half mile, a 1 mile, a 2 square mile area. That becomes part of the criteria for the premium. You have to put in the weight of your drone. You put in the degree of liability that you want to be insured for, $1 million, 2, 5, or 5. And it comes back with an on-the-spot premium for that period of time that you want to use it. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, whatever. On a low-use basis, it turns out that that could be a very cost-saving feature. Plan is to download that app and go to various locations that would represent where we would like to use the drone. You know, there may be other locations, but it's a good test. And go through that procedure without pushing the button to actually purchase the premium and see what it would cost. And then come up with an estimate of how many reiterations we would like to do during the year and balance that against the yearly premium that the other insurance carriers would charge us.
The insurance company that you currently use for facility liability or equipment and everything else, they won't cover the drone?
They would charge a yearly bill of $875. A lot of that premium is based on the fact there's very little experience with drone liability right now. And the basic response we get is that check us in a year and it may go considerably lower, but we have to get that experience first.
If I could just interrupt just for a moment. Elgin Nichols, Oxford Lake Drive. Those insurance programs that they have, as he pointed out, are very limited. Not many companies are carrying them. We're looking at the possibility of even a rider by insurance companies to put on because there'd be less money. Even major insurance companies don't provide riders. It's a separate policy at this time. We're talking anywhere on a regular policy, anywhere from $750 to $800. So after much research on this and talking to several insurance companies, we felt that this option that David just brought up would be the best option because most of the time we're going to be flying no more than maybe a half an hour at the most, maybe an hour, you know, in terms of drone time. So it's not very much. And the rates range anywhere from $10 to $20, depending, as he said, the population where you're flying the drone. So that's the way it works. And I think Dave and I have come to the consensus that we would go with that program as opposed to getting an insurance policy. One insurance company told me that they will have riders down the line. In other words, we could provide an insurance policy for the contents of the building and whatever we do, and then they would attach a rider, which would be less money. So maybe we should look at that down the line. Right. But right now, this would be a method of handling the insurance for us.
And in a year, that may well be the case for the current provider of our liability insurance, but we don't know yet.
Right.
It can go as low as $10 per use for that variable one.
And a better insurance company, as this year comes along, we can adopt this one, get something better.
Flying over a cow pasture or something?
All right.
I took the $730 for the cheaper policy and divided that by 20 because my inclination is the $10 is for 5 minutes over a cow pasture. And that would give you 36 flights. So we're so close to the end of this year. Have you gotten your license yet?
Oh, yes. I've got the 107 license, pilots for drone and unmanned aircraft. I did pass the test. They will be sending me the license shortly.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
My inclination is the first year while you're playing with it that you may go over the 36 flights, although we're also coming into winter. So that might be a good route to go if you want to fly it for the remainder of this year and then maybe even look next summer or spring at the other policies again.
Mm-hmm. By the way, the FAA, they frown on that word playing with it. They don't like that at all. It's a commercial license. You can fly whatever size drone you want. There are drones available out there that will do infrared and police work as well as fire departments and doing scan for property. So, and there's actually a company in Rhode Island, or a police department, sheriff's department in Rhode Island, that they use bracelets for people that are walkaways, and they pick up the signal on the drone, attract these people. They located 12 out of 14 people that walked away from homes. So there's lots of possibilities down the line. But right now, of course, for B-roll and for the Communications Commission and the OCTV, this is the greatest product that we have.
And if you decide to buy this variable thing that we're looking at, once you push the button and say you'd like to purchase it based on whatever they're offering, it will send a full copy of that insurance policy for that period of time to your email.
Ed?
What's the name of this?
VeraFly.
Are they reputable? Do they have a
They are what are
solid
called
asset base?
Well, they are what are called. They call themselves insurance producers. They actually go through a consortium of other insurance companies, depending on whether they sell insurance in your state or nationwide or whatever.
So you've checked them out?
Actually, one of them is the one that Gandolfi, who's our current insurer, actually got for us. The $875 would be their yearly rate, the Tokyo Marine. But they also participate in this variable.
I'm just a little uncomfortable with a pay-as-you-use policy, because to me, something gets screwed up in the process one time, and all of a sudden that's the time you need the insurance, and they decline the claim for whatever reason. I guess I would feel more comfortable if we had a solid insurance coverage that covered us for any and all reasons. But
This was the same concern I had, Ed, and he and I had gone over this and beat it to death. And it is a national program that they have, and it is a reputable program according to David, his research. So, regardless if it's through an iPhone that you get this insurance program, or you pay so much per year, the policy is going to be pretty much the same.
and how much is the difference?
It could be as low as 10, but it's all based on risk.
Annual. Annual.
For
Between.
No, because it's
There's
based
no end.
on
It's
variable.
Yeah, but you're going to
individual
use it, what, 20 times?
36.
No, that was Lori.
At $20 per time, but
So you said a couple $100?
Could be.
Could be.
It depends how many times you use it and where you use it.
If the average flight is a half hour, for example, and we do 10 flights, you compare that against the yearly rate, it's still a whole lot less money.
do you plan to train?
That's why we plan on testing it without actually buying it.
I'm at the wrong end.
With the license that I have, I can train other pilots. Matter of fact, I've been talking to a gentleman with the fire department, Dan Flanders, and he has quite an aggressive program for the school system, teaching kids how to do this, both in Oxford and Lapeer. Pretty sharp young man, technically, and we've had discussions on this, and he couldn't wait until I get my license to join him in his activities. So I think in conjunction with OCTV, we can do some things with him as well.
So you have your license and you guys are ready to start using this?
Oh, yeah.
We're ready to fly.
Ready to fly.
But if you're doing training, do you need insurance for training as well?
I'm not sure about that and how it's working. I haven't talked to Dan Flanders on it. He's looked into all that. I'm sure it's under consideration on how you would handle it. The school would have an insurance program if it's endorsed by the school, I'm pretty sure. It's really a cutting edge. I mean, nobody is doing this in Michigan pretty much. Dan Flanders has pretty much led, the charge for this thing. And when it was indicated that OCTV was going to have a drone and we're going to be involved in it, he couldn't wait to, get us involved in it.
That was the person I
Right.
He said
brought to your attention.
Right.
Bill recommended him. I called him on the phone. We had quite a discussion on the telephone, then we met. And he actually, before he got my license, he flew as a pilot doing B-roll for OCTV. And he didn't charge us anything for it. So,
We should have kept doing that.
well, we don't want to take advantage of people, do we?
Yeah.
We do. Okay. Are you talking to me?
Bill's hands up.
Bill?
You look one way.
I know, well, I was looking at Elgin. Sorry. I need to swivel my head more.
I would just verify, I would want to make sure that if we push the button, that we get some sort of response back, yes, you are insured for this location.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
hard copy.
And
Not that-
it will send a hard
Gee whiz,
copy
we
of the
have
full
it, they go.
insurance policy. It's like a,
We never got your message. We never seen.
this is an example.
Why bother?
And if I could just interject, down the line here, as more companies pick up drone insurance as a rider, you know, it could be attached
That's an
to a
example
policy.
of they sent to your email.
It doesn't make any sense.
We have to go through the whole thing.
No. It just, it comes right, instantly comes back to us.
This is what it would look like if you were using it.
I like the idea of doing through the phone.
Just stuff.
I don't know. Yeah, the question was just as, what if you're someplace that you don't have reception?
Well, there's no problem in this area. It uses Wi-Fi, and regardless of where the Wi-Fi is at, it'll pick it up. I've tried it as far as testing the drone in different locations, and even in town here, in areas that are open, it picks up, you know, the signal, and it controls it. If, for example, you lose the flight some way or another, it'll actually send you a signal back to your controller, in which case you can manually control it and return it to where you're at. Otherwise, you just push a button. Once you're out, you have to maintain.
No, but I mean on the cell phone. What if you're someplace?
On cell phone?
Yeah.
I haven't seen too many cell phones that don't function within this area.
And your cell phone will actually act as a countdown timer to indicate how much of your time that's allotted has passed once you push the button.
What do they need from us? Permission?
I guess if that's the way the board wants to go. Lori?
I guess kind of the comments that I'm hearing is that we're just not really that comfortable with and it's going to be a hassle to have to do some of this. And I don't know that for a couple $100 that we're going to save, that it's worth the hassle. But I would make a motion to approve up to $875 for drone insurance to come out of the contingency budget. I'm not sure how the payment will go since we've just renewed in July, the insurance.
One thing that I might like to add here that you brought up, which is a good point, is does it cover other people being trained, by the pilot? Is that policy covering those people during
Well, we
that
don't
process?
train anybody until we're sure.
Well, that's why I would have David do more research on it before any contracts are signed.
I would guess through the Gandolfi agency or certainly the Travelers Associates policy was cheaper, but I would think that that was more of a blanket coverage where it's the OCTV is being covered, not necessarily whoever happened to type it in on their iPhone.
Now, keep in mind that David and I were trying to keep the costs down, as much as possible.
We appreciate that, but I
It's the
think
only way to do it.
the potential for something going wrong is greater, or something happening out in the field and you want to get the drone up and you're going to have to mess around trying to do this for the couple $100 a year that it could save. I don't feel that it's worth it.
I'll support for discussion.
Okay.
The year, would it start the day that you have the policy, or would it go until December 31st, or do we know?
How do we pay our insurance? What's the year? Like, is it January to December, or what?
I would assume that this policy, once you initiate it, if it were a yearly policy, would start today and go 365 days.
No, she wants to know our current policy.
Your current policy goes to, what was it? July
That's what I thought.
27th or something like that.
Ready for roll call?
Sure. Is there any more discussion?
What do we,
Lori made a motion to spend $875, excuse me, out of the contingency fund to have it through Gandolfi for a year. And out of the contingency fund.
Actually, I did not
say that?
specify Gandolfi. I
Oh.
just said up to $875 since that was the higher of the policies. As long as Travelers was a equal policy
Reputable?
and reputable. I think I've heard of Travelers.
So this isn't for the pay-as-you-go?
No, right, that would be a
Okay.
regular policy through either
Okay.
Gandolfi or Travelers.
Ready?
Does everybody understand that?
Fisher,
Yes.
Sotherby,
Yes.
Bozardet,
Yes.
Hunwig,
Yes.
Dunn? Yes.
Facility comparison?
Some of the pages seem to have gotten out of order.
I'm sorry.
Page 17 and 18 in the packets should go after page 23, I think, to make more sense. And then there is a page 27 that really should be towards the end of the packet. And then I also passed out a
There is a-
grid.
Right.
Where's what?
So the capstone is actually on page 27, right?
Yeah, it was kind of in the middle of the facility, and that's actually another agenda item.
Oh, sorry.
And then the facility study grid that I passed out, that should have been in there someplace.
So 17, 18 should go where?
After page 23.
The page 28 through 33
23.
were related to
And
what
then where is this?
OCTP produced relative to the potential locations, as opposed to what you had given us.
Where
I just
is-
separated the two, that's all.
That can go anywhere in there.
Where does this, what
I
you
guess
passed
we'll
out?
just talk about the grid right now. And we'll put that at, like, in front of page 20. So the OCTV facility study was just a grid that everybody can kind of, we decided to put out some measurables on a grid, and then everybody can kind of weight those and come up with what's important to them, or what they feel each facility has. You know, if we rated them 1, 2, and 3, you can weight each item. So we were measuring location, expected yearly maintenance, upfront costs, client accessibility, staff accessibility, potential floor plan, timeline, ideal square footage, storage space, aesthetics, sound, proximity to potential interns. The interns being, we've always talked about trying to work with the schools. Expected utilities, parking, building infrastructure, demographics, and safety. And then, depending on what we're looking at, there'd of course be a 5-year budget impact and then even a 10-year budget impact. Okay, then if we go to page 20, you want to jump in here?
You're doing good.
Page 20 goes over, option 1 was the village space number 1, which was the space that the old Parks and Rec was in up until a couple weeks ago. The village space number 2, which is the old Oxford Township area that we've talked about in the past.
Can we just cross that off? I don't think that's an option. The old village hall?
Well, it was one of the things that we were supposed to be looking
Okay.
at. And then option 3 was the Seymour Lake Park new construction. So I hope everybody had a few minutes to look through the overviews on each of these spaces. Things that we wanted everybody to take into consideration. We currently have $300,000 reserved as a capital expenditure for a building. There have been some numbers about $450,000 floating around, but what we actually have currently reserved is $300,000. Our current lease expires February 28th of 2019 and currently costs us $1,500 a month. Below that, we do not at this point have a cost per square foot nailed down or a great estimate. But there's a chart that shows you at 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 square feet what a new building project would cost at 150, 200, and then $250 per square foot.
Could I just interrupt for a minute? The $1,500 a month should be $2,000 a month.
It's $1,500 is for the lease, but another $500 comes into the snow plays and trash and
Okay.
that stuff,
So-
so it's an additional $2,000.
Okay, so $2,000 a month is what we currently pay.
And while I'm interrupting you, could I add another line to the projects as far as down at the bottom of the page? I've checked with Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron. Have you got a cost per foot since you just recently built that building?
It was $90.
So I would like to put another column over there at $90.
That was a renovation to an existing facility though, correct?
Right.
So with a new building, I don't think, if you asked a builder, they're going to tell you probably $250 for new construction. In this case, we would be saving the driveway, the parking lot, and the need for a septic system. So I really would guess it'd be more in the $150 to $200 per square foot.
I'd have to disagree with you.
We also put in larger electrical service, larger water service. And keep in mind, our building was stripped right down to bare walls. It's not like we had drywall, flooring. I mean, there was no bathrooms, there was nothing. We did all that for 90.
Okay, so if we did,
Pretty much all new electric. Everything inside, I mean, keep in mind, it's just studded walls. The shell, a roof, and studded walls.
Is the septic part of that too?
We put in a larger septic field, larger well, larger electricity.
okay, so at $90 a square foot for 25, actually I must have done, no I didn't, 2,500 square feet would be about $225,000.
Correct.
Do you want all the numbers?
It's 180, 225, and 270.
Thank you.
Yes, 270.
What was what, 180?
180, 225, and 270.
Okay, and then if we flip the page, the cost of investment per month, this is just kind of exploring at a $400,000 expenditure. If I divided that over a 30-year life of a building, it would be approximately $1,100 a month. So that's taking $400,000 out of the bank account right now and amortizing that over 30 years. So I did that calculation based on the $400,000 and $500,000. And I assume along with the price of the building, we'd also have some moving expenses, furniture expenses. Another thing too that I was thinking would tack up the price of a new build is the garage. If the structure is very simple, a pole barn construction with, is that steel sides, Ron, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing fancy about the outside. So I think, building-wise, you're going to come in quite low because of that, but then you do have the expense of a garage.
I don't understand that cost of investment by month. What does that show me?
So right now, if we're spending $2,000 a month in rent,
Okay.
a lot of people will say that's throwing your money out the door. I'm just saying, if we take $400,000 out of our bank account right now and say, what is that in monthly payments over 30 years that we own a building, that's just saying that that's essentially $1,100. If we're not taking a loan in this case, but if you were, you might look at it in that case.
But it's not taking into consideration you're going to have some value to the structure at the end. It's like a house. A 30-year-old house.
The village has had an awful time trying to rent out their vacant property here. It would be in my opinion that if in 30 years OCTV doesn't exist, we're not exactly in a great negotiation position to try to sell this off for X amount.
I think we could treat it like a condo. You're purchasing from the walls in. You're not buying land. There is going to be value after 30 years. So I just don't understand.
It's just a thought process. It's just a lot of people think if you're buying something, it's that you don't have there's value to having $400,000 in the bank account. That's all that's
Okay.
showing. Financial summary, OCTV has experienced declining revenue during recent quarters in most of the markets. Charter did expand services in parts of Leonard and Addison during 15 and 16, which accounts for an increase. AT&T announced the phase-out of UVerse, which will impact roughly 30% of our OCTV revenue, or approximately $100,000 per year. In 2016, AT&T revenues were $124,126.43. That phase-out will be over the course of, I would guess, 5 to 10 years.
Excuse me.
Question, Don.
We have a question. Terry and I went to attend a meeting in July. Walt was the attorney that we have for most of our broadcasting people have informed the group that in May, AT&T announced that they will not be phasing out UVerse. Watt said the plan backfired on AT&T, extremely upset customers, switched to Charter and Comcast. 5 of the 7 stations stated they had not lost money from AT&T yet, which was stated that if we should, it would be a minimum amount. And we have minimum a little bit ourselves. In the first 6 months of 2016, Charter was down a little bit, but the last 6 months, July, December, it was way up, 17,000 up, or almost 18,000. So the last 6 months of 2016, the first 6 months of 2017, about a push for Charter. So I anticipate that Charter will consume, with about 6 months, should average another 127,000 or more for proposed of 2017. So we're looking pretty good for Charter, and the push from AT loss is about a push, and a little better with Charter.
Okay, I did come across a news release from AT&T that was dated May 2017, and from that it sounded like they were continuing on this path of getting rid of UVerse because
trying to get satellite. They're trying that, yeah.
Because that was their more profitable area.
Yeah.
So the way Mike Watsa explained it was, they're not doing a phasing out and forcing people out.
Right.
If people are going to go out, then they're not going to renew them as far as cable is concerned. But so many people went over to Comcast and Charter that AT&T decided not to phase out. So if people call and ask for cable, if say they're moving into your area, they will give it to them. If they call and say, we don't want cable, they're going to phase them out of cable. They'll put them into, what is it, DirecTV or whatever it is. But they're not going to phase that program out. And like Bill said, out of the 8 public access stations that were at that meeting, us and one other smaller station were the only stations that lost money. And they said, don't worry about it. If you lose anything, it's going to be 10 to 20,000. That's it. So I thought that was pretty powerful coming from Mike. He knows what he's talking about. It was encouraging to hear that.
Just to back up what Terry is saying, I talked to engineers a while back, and at that time they were kind of in a quandary. They said that we have a serious issue with going with satellite, that they were going to convert back, but that they were going to go with wireless transmission units rather than running cable as a rule. And that was their plan, but they didn't have any intentions of switching everything over to satellite.
Wait, can you say that again?
Well, satellite is what they use with the dish system. And that's what they were anticipating doing. And they said that it wasn't working out for them. That's what the engineers told me. And they said that they would have a wireless type transmitter.
Where?
Well, instead of running cable everywhere, they have the ability to run transmitters, which will send the signal out over the airways instead of receiving on cable.
Will they be
the approach they might want to take?
But if they do that, the payments, from what I understand, are basically for use of the easements.
Okay, but they can multiplex the signal, so there is.
But if they're wirelessly transmitting it, then they're not utilizing the actual cable structures, which is what we're being paid for, right?
Well, you're still paying for the frequency, regardless if it's cable or whatever it is. You're not necessarily paying just for the line that's running there, but you're paying for the service that's coming out to you. And that's where we get our franchise fees.
That's right.
And again, the franchise fees are not You can use them on your easements if you need to do maintenance. Originally, franchise fees were created and mandated by the federal government so that we can have local television and local interests, local news, information in your local communities rather than CNN-only type programming. So that's what the franchise fees are for. That's what they're on our bill for. And they are for the use of airwaves. We're getting those franchise fees.
And I think in summary is the fact that AT&T doesn't plan on going anywhere in terms of their cable business. They're just taking a different concept in the way they're handling it, not using the satellite system that they proposed originally. This is what came from engineers. It was passed on the bill, and we had to wait and see as to what was going to happen. And the meeting that they just attended just re-substantiated what input I gave Bill back then.
Okay, if we turn the page, the boxes that I put around were just kind of showing the Village Space 1 and 2, but I don't think they showed up on the copies very well. Page 23 was kind of a schematic of the presentation that Mr. Ron Davis gave us, showing what the Seymour Lake Park building would look like, or could look like. The next page was a 2019 hypothetical budget. I guess it's anybody's guess where we're going to be at with the budget and whether we have declining revenues or revenues increase. But what I did with this was I took out 50% of the AT&T revenues, which I got rid of rent, and I increased all the payroll line items, all 6%. I did not touch like workman's comp or the Social Security, but it left us with a $91,114 shortfall. Anybody have any questions on that? So that may or may not happen, and we don't know at this point, timeline when that could happen, I guess. Page 24, this covers 2016 and 2017 quarterly payments. Our budget for this year was $352,000 that we were projecting that we'd receive, and we actually are somewhat on target. It's hard to gauge revenue because we get 2 charter checks a year and we get 4 AT&T checks a year. So it's a long wait in between checks and a little hard to gauge where we're going to be at. But I tried to wait the next AT&T checks. So we think that we're going to end up around $354,000. So hopefully $2,000 above the budget. From the charter revenue graph and the AT&T revenue graph, you can kind of see, for the most part, there's somewhat of a downward trend. And it looks like, too, the biggest downward trend was in Oxford Township with AT&T.
And that went down more than half. The year estimate went down $67,000.
On which page are we looking?
On your hypothetical for the township franchise fees, 2017 to 2019, went from $107,000.
The 100, yeah, we realized, I think that this wasn't my amended budget. We're not going to hit 107 this year. That was quite high.
Oh, okay. So that's not.
We're going to be around 80,000.
And 40,000.
Right. So I took the 80. I took the 50% numbers off of the actual projections.
Right, and I saw that, and I realized that until I got to this one, and it was more than 50%.
Yeah, you can't go from 2017 on the. Page 25, there's a new bill in legislation right now that is going to allow townships to do SADs for new infrastructure. The thing that bothers me about this bill is that it kind of tells me that they're going to start putting expansion projects on the residents, and that maybe they're not going to be putting in their own infrastructure.
All right, can I have you say that again? I didn't quite hear.
Page
What does this bill do?
25.
I know, I'm on that. But what does this bill do?
It allows townships to do a special assessment district for expanding infrastructure for cable.
And not roadway.
Yeah. So that just, it bothers me to see this bill just, and it kind of makes the light bulb go off of, does that mean that they're going to start transferring these costs to the end user?
Special assessment districts aren't normally started by governments, they're started by individuals, whether they want their road done or they need a special.
That's what I thought. I was confused about this.
I'm kind of confused on that one. I don't know if it involves us.
Well, and as far as I know, it has not passed yet. I just thought it's something that bothered me when I saw it come through.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, page 26, we asked the employees and staff at OCTV to rate the facility study items, and this is a composition that they sent back of their responses.
What am I looking at here?
Well, unfortunately, it would have been probably good to have totaled it, but Terry or Bill or somebody, do you guys want to add anything to how you did this?
That's on a scale of 1 to 10 for, Lori came up with a list of items which helped give us a direction. And on a scale of 1 to 10, this is staff preference for the 3 different facilities.
So they broke it down in 1/10 decimal, 8.3s.
10 be the highest.
How did that happen, Dave?
What's that?
Well, the total
That's
being
an average.
divided by a number.
That's an average of,
Give an average of 9 employees.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I thought that was what the number they put on it. Okay.
So that is the end of what I put together. I see that looks like Bill and Terry put the next couple pages together. That was supposed to be my unbiased report of what I saw as the facts and the things that need to be taken into consideration.
How many employees was this?
9.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I guess now if Bill or Terry would like to go over the next couple of pages.
Oops.
Don't everybody hurry.
I got it.
So we're on page 28 now?
Oh, yeah, 20, that's just, that's Seymour Park, that's a proposed inside of the building. And the second page of that is the garage attached to it for Seymour Park. I don't have something.
Is this for each one of the buildings, the facilities? Do you have a layout, or is this just in
What's that again?
This is only one layout for one facility?
No, there was that one. I've got one there for the old village, the old township layout. Then we had the old Park and Rec. I put that in for you too. But it doesn't show on the old Park and Rec, it doesn't show that there's the bathrooms are in there, and the 2 bathrooms and little kitchen was in there. But there's a schedule of that for. Let me look at that too, and I put that other picture of just dragging that equipment in that Elgin and the other guys do. We do sports in and out. The biggest problem we have in here, the old village here, is getting that gear back in and out from the van. We'd like to have the van attached to the studio. The equipment stays in the van. You're not going to tear stuff in and out, and our people's backs to get in and out.
And for the benefit of the audience, Elgin looks very cold in the picture.
Yes, yes.
It is not Miami.
That's right.
Miami International Airport.
Yeah.
I've got a question. If we remodel the old township, or excuse me, the old Park and Rec, does that have to be brought up to ADA standards, the entire portion over there?
I'm assuming, but do I have the answer? No. But I would assume it would have to be.
I would expect so, if it's a public facility. And it's not,
Because of the change of use?
yes, because it doesn't have historic use, per se.
You said the old Parks and Rec area?
Yeah, the old park.
There really wasn't that much remodeling to do there.
Bathrooms.
There are bathrooms, I mean, I don't know that anything needed to be remodeled, so why would we have to bring anything up to code?
I'm just throwing stuff up to discuss.
I have a transit, we went through a complete audit of all of our parks in that building, and the bathrooms were called out, the entry ramp was called out, the doors were called out, the carpet was called out, the carpet's been replaced, but it's all listed in our 88 transition plan that every government agency is supposed to have on file, and we're the only one in the township, very few in the state have them, but we have a complete plan by an audit firm out of Chicago. Came in and did every one of our parks, including that office.
We don't want to see it.
I have a son who is disabled, why would you not do it?
Well, I'm just asking a question.
Not doing it.
Nobody said anything about not doing
I
it.
think that you wouldn't have to do it. Why would you not do it?
I didn't say we weren't
I
going to.
understand, so I would say you need to spend the money. If you're going to use a new use, I would hope that you would put that facility in so that everybody would have an opportunity to work there.
Especially for employees, you have to keep that in mind as well.
Where do we go from here? You know, so.
I don't know.
Well, you saw the page 33 with the staff comments.
Sue, I have a question.
Yeah.
The facility out at the township, Ron, you got new septic field and well, will that accommodate the additional construction?
I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Yes, Jeff Kindness, Park Superintendent, Dr. Township Parks and Rec. It will accommodate that. We had 200 amps coming into the building before. We now have 800, which will handle the new facility that goes on the senior center and hopefully OCTV. We upgraded everything to accommodate future expansions. Septic, well, we had the gas, we're having the gas brought in from the road. We had a big enough pipe brought in now to accommodate all these future expansions. So everything is in place to do these things if they happen.
We spent an extra $38,000 making these upgrades, because I certainly didn't want to impact our office. Should the senior center come on board and cable, then I'm shutting everything down. So we invested the $38,000 on our building project. Being fiscally responsible, thinking, okay, if that comes along, let's make sure it's ready to go and not shut everything down. Adjustments.
And it would have cost us about 3 times as much to do it after the fact, because everything would have been disrupted and redone.
So the building, as it was redone, was done, and it complies with ADA?
Absolutely.
It has to.
So how come the parking lot doesn't have to be paved?
Doesn't have to, all you gotta do is provide 88 parking, so many parking spots per, based on a formula, I got that in our transit.
So those have to be paved?
Yeah, they already are. If you go to that park,
Oh, okay.
you'll see we put all new 88 softball fields, tennis courts, splash pads.
Yeah, you did a nice job over
Everything's
there.
88 compliant now. That's why we're doing all our parking.
I didn't see that. So you have special parking spots for?
Every complex has a special ADA spot.
That audit went through every facet of the park. We had walkways, bathrooms, playgrounds, baseball fields. We actually have an ADA baseball field now.
So if we added a section of building onto what's there, we have to put in additional parking spaces?
We have to put in, certain parking spaces. I'd have to look what the formula is, or you share, and that's where we have to call Dr. Treglab to see if the 8 or 9 that would be for the senior centers all through the same sidewalk would be sufficient at the same complex. Like they do at the town of the village, you don't have one for the building and site one, and then one for, the building department, so somebody we have to, the senior living call 4 or 6 total, so.
On use, right, John? Depends on use, correct?
Bill?
I guess this board, at the last meeting, if I recall, asked how OCTV staff felt. And the staff comments, is this?
That's a summation.
So it looks like 100% want to go to Seymour.
Well, I kind of went by the graph.
By the tens, yeah,
Oh, you go
pretty
back.
much.
Okay.
How they asked them, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, and it's in black and white for the commission to see, because that's what they wanted. Bill has said this a couple of times, we could pretty much put up a tent and function out of there. We've been functioning out of the community
Correct.
building that we're functioning out of right now for a number of years.
That makes it easy.
As far as practicality is concerned, and when I handed this out to the staff, I asked them to think about each building and what they would have to do in their ADLs or their daily life at OCTV. And they truly, honestly came up with the numbers that you are looking at right now, as far as ease and practicality is concerned. And that's exactly what we consider when we're working. You know, how are we going to get to where we need to be the fastest? There's many times that we get called, something's going on right now down here, can you guys get there? Yes, we can. We can open the back door and run out with a camera. And so that's how we function. And comfort, you know, are we going to be warm? Okay, we're going to be warm. But that's what the staff honestly came up with. After they considered it, and they've talked about it, and we've talked about here, and yes, it's convenient downtown. Yes, it's convenient out there, depending on demographics again. I ran some numbers on YouTube, and our top 10 shows of all times, Number 1 top show is the Tai Chi show with 11,000 views. But out of the top 10, 8 are sports or family involvement. And that says a lot. You know, it's the families that are watching us, it's the families that are involved with us and involved with the community. It's the families really that are paying our franchise fees. And there's a lot of families out there. And that's when our staff talked about that. They liked the fact that they would be exposed to a lot of people and a lot of activities. Just wanted to put my 2 cents in. I took that too. I did the 1 to 10 too.
Sue, I guess I had one more thing.
Make one comment, I think. I looked at all the possibilities. I'm very strong, village-oriented, and making things happen here, and I think it's a very good central location for the station. However, when you look at the negative things involved, for example, the uncertainty if we were to make a major investment because the residents have voted to sell the property, where does the station stand? You know, if we should make this major investment. 2, it doesn't have the space that we require. I really recommend, as Bill knows, 3,000 square feet. This one is far from it. You're not going to be doing it here. So there's a number of issues involved. I think very solid in my mind that we can start with a building that is designed to our requirements, you know, in the township area. I would like to see it here, but I don't think it's going to happen.
All things being equal, I guess just my personal opinion is I do like the Seymour Park location. I just feel it's very important that everybody understands the financials. And I don't want to get 5 or 10 years down the road and start seeing some of these declining budgets catching up with us, and then have to make some decisions that impact the staff. I guess it's kind of always been said, be careful that we don't build some empire that we can't sustain. But I know it came up in the newspaper that, if we build a building on somebody else's property, it essentially belongs to that entity. Most of the funds accumulated, most of the funds that we have right now in reserves are funds that accumulated 5 to 10 years ago. From what I can gather, most of our funds come from Oxford Township, so I have no idea if we had that kind of money in the bank and we didn't spend it, how we would ever divvy it back up to where it came from, because that goes back years and years. But currently, we are not putting money in the bank at the end of the year. We're spending everything that we are bringing in. So we don't have, it's hard to guess anything because we don't have a good price per square foot on the building. We don't really know where we're going with revenues. So it seems like it's kind of difficult to make a decision based on that information. That's a question.
As far as Addison Township is concerned, I'm just a supervisor, so, but in my opinion, I've already gone through this process of trying to redo an old building. It's extremely hard. I had mold issues, I had all kinds of issues. Took a long time for me to convince the citizens how bad our building was. I had to measure a new building versus an old building. When it came out, the new building, by far, was the answer. I mean, I have to think about the employees' health. I have to think about all of that. The air quality in our building was terrible, extremely bad. We had mold, we had asbestos. This building is quite old also. I mean, if it was, let me ask you this, how did it get in such bad disrepair to begin with? Why? Why is it in disrepair that all of a sudden we have to throw money into it to fix something up so that we can even move into it? Why isn't it ADA? I mean, there were other facilities there that should have been brought up to those standards. I'm not understanding. I know why our building got so bad. Nobody put any interest in it, nobody put any money into it, and they let the roof go to pot, and then after that, everything else went to pot. I have a funny feeling the roof here isn't very good either. My opinion is, if you're going to spend that money, then you might as well build a new building that fits the need of exactly what they're asking for. Otherwise, I think we're just fixing up somebody else's building. And that's just Addison Township's opinion.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to have seen in that study, Lori, would be the rent. That is a big issue. I've got some numbers here. We'll just say it was, the rent here at this building would be $1,500 a month. That's $18,000 a year. After 10 years, it's $180,000 that you would be paying out. To build, say it was $250,000 or $300,000 to build. After 10 years, we'll just say it's remained the same as $300,000. We're talking about a $500,000 difference between a negative $180,000 and a positive $200,000 or $300,000. Again, nobody's purchasing any land. It's like a condominium. You're purchasing the interior walls of a structure. And if the commission ever went out of business, I'm sure that we'd have to get the money and divide it up amongst the communities at probably the same type of formula that was used to collect the money. So I would like to have seen that in this study too.
Ed?
First of all, I was quite happy the township supervisor from Addison. I really wanted some input from that side of the community to see how they felt about it, because it's going to be pretty much on the other side of, well, it's the other side of the town, but it's going to be a long further away than what it is right now. So I was very appreciative of you putting your input in there. Can we get some kind of estimate from a contractor to how much it's going to cost to do what we need to do?
I did get an architect several months ago for the township.
He's on my contract, yeah.
Bill and Ron, the architect, give an estimate of what it was going to cost for what Bill submitted to the architect. Ron submitted that here to this board.
Yeah, but that's the architect. That's not a contractor. The architect's not going to build it, though.
Well, here's our,
I'll do it, just to give you an idea, I don't even take the time, but the maintenance department bill, bid for $500,000. We used our local guys to build it for $300,000. We were given $420,000 to convert this, we did it for $370,000. And keep in mind, $38,000 of that was over because of the add-on. So you give us the approval, give me them plans, and I'll go back to the same guys, all local people, builders, plumbers.
Were you the general contractor for this project?
We're the GNC. We run the project. Keep in mind, we converted that thing, we started in April and it's done, doors are open.
So that's a big reason why you were $90 a square foot, because you didn't have a general contractor.
We use local people.
But I understand, but you acted as a general contractor. You eliminated about 20 to 25% of costs that somebody else would, if used a general contractor, would have incurred. Are you willing to act as a general contractor for this?
If it saves me the taxpayer money, I would jump in, yeah.
There you go.
We have nothing to benefit by you guys coming in. There's no gain to us at all. But as a taxpayer, it's a gain to me. Being a fiscally responsible employee, that's what I do every day. It's another opportunity to market your program, so it gives us more opportunities to do new programs in that building. I've shared with some of your staff, God forbid the commission ever goes under. If the Parks and Rec had the opportunity in that deed to buy it back, what you paid for it to build it, how foolish would the Parks and Rec not to be to buy that, create a TV studio that a program would continue to run, regardless if we're doing cable or not. We use the building for some other type of recreation.
Right.
As a contractor, I want to say that $90 per square foot isn't uncommon for the type of building that's going up. Bill Service, our manager, and I had a discussion on this. I heard it was $150 a square foot, which that's it's done properly.
Just depends what you want. We didn't put frills in it. We want functionality. That's what we did.
And so it should be. It's a public facility.
Be accessible, and it's going to serve the community to the best of what it's needed.
So what you're saying is that if we say that the max amount we want to spend is $300,000, you'll make sure it comes in at that or under?
Well, I'm saying, give me your prints, we'll go meet with our people and say, this is their budget. What can we do to make this work? And that's basically what we did with ours.
Local.
Local people.
Local.
Where are the prints from the architect?
I think it was just a rough scale drawing of the exterior with just a couple of walls, but we never went, you know,
There's no construction plan.
I'd have to sit down with Bill and make sure that we know where all the wall plugs are going. Help me out here, Jeff. I mean,
We have to come up with where the bathrooms are going, we have to come up with mechanical rooms, we have to have a better scale print so a contractor can say, this is what I need to do, the electrician can say, this is what I need to do, the plumber can do the same. You have to have a better scale print to do that.
We want tile here, carpet there, and we want
Yeah, we need
12-foot garage door, 10-foot garage door, how big is the bay? I'd be more than happy to help Bill.
I'll kick in.
Or anybody with that. We can meet with our contractors. Again, they're all local people.
Do you get any donations at all? I mean, people.
We're going to put you in charge of that?
We do. Can we do that prior to having an official vote?
Local contractors. They help us out all
You
the
don't
time.
have to make a
And
decision.
Michael help us paint too, right?
It might
Can I
be courteous to say, this
Township
looks
help.
like the road that we're going to go, so that we're not leaving the village hanging, but we don't have to go full
Hey, Michael.
forward today.
You say a few words?
Can you identify? Yeah.
I'm Mike McDonald from the Village of Leonard. I'm here in a semi-official capacity because the council hasn't given me any direction, but we have been talking about it. Shar is actively keeping us in the loop. When you talk about real estate, everybody, the first three words are location, location, location. Generally speaking. When I first heard about the Oxford Parks proposal, I was heavily cynical about it because even though it sees a lot of traffic, it's a very focused traffic, basically related to sports. It's not on M24, it's not on Burdick Street, where a lot of the public ordinarily goes by. But running the numbers and having seen what was accomplished recently in Addison Township, think there's a real strong argument to look at the cost effectiveness and the potential future ramifications as far as ownership, etc. And I think that in the case of building at the Park and Rec on Seymour Lake, as long as there's agreement on the commission and the communities you represent, that an agreement can be reached on what would happen in the scenario that was described as if OCTV goes away or whatever, and there's cut and dry procedure, then that would be the optimal way to go. It is worrisome, to me anyways, that here at the village, there is a lot of, there do seem to be some unknowns as far as what is the future going to hold for the structure, etc. So, having seen what happened in Madison Township, I think the outcome would be probably more favorable with a new structure. And much as it is out of the way for the communities that are up to the east, the benefits probably outweigh the negatives. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, were we not going to, as commissioners, put our thoughts down on, or we're not doing that? Is that what this is about?
Yeah, but it was more for everybody to personally go through. Shara was asking about the grid study. And this is something that everybody has to make up their own mind about and how they feel. I don't see any reason that we need to rush into anything. If everybody is against one idea or the other, in particular, I guess I'm thinking about the village. You know, if somebody wants to disclude that option, that would be appropriate so that they're not left wondering if we're still considering it. Again, we've got quite a bit of time before our lease is up, and we're not against the wall that we have to make a decision anytime soon.
I guess I personally would like to see some numbers, better numbers than just a guess. I would like to see a formal architectural drawing and then see what the costs are put together from that rather than just guessing. I feel uncomfortable just voting for a guess. I'd rather see some firm numbers because we've only got $300,000 as far as I'm concerned. That leaves us with $100,000 that we need to keep in the bank. And I guess I question the idea that we're not going to go over budget. Terry?
Does that, there's a cost for an architectural drawing, correct? So do you then need 3 bids for an architectural drawing cost, or how do we decide on what architect, or?
Well, they're not going to be going from a rough draft. He already said that, and even I know that. And yes, I would think that you'd need to get 3 bids.
To then make a decision or have a vote, make a motion for us to obtain an architect and a certain amount of money. Do you know how much they cost to put a plan together?
I have not a clue.
We'd be silly to go with another architect. He's already got the floor plan, he's got all the plans.
Yeah, I already got a schedule for a plan for the Seymour building. Gave it to the architect. He said that the average price would be $150,000. What it cost us with the garage attached to the building.
No, how much is it going to cost the architect to draw the plans up?
$280,000 for the architect. The contractor here will make a hell of a lot less. So we had the budget there at him, the architect, $285,000, I believe it was, with my plan, and he could do it a whole lot less. Then I gave that.
How much was the architect going to charge for a service?
We did nothing for that. Jeff and I did that with him. That was a freebie. But an architect
I
will,
thought you just said that you need more detailed plans.
We need to know exactly what you want in the building before we can have somebody bid it. We have a rough draft of the size of the building.
right.
But what do you want in the building? I need to know, like what you want for carpet, tile floors. In the bathrooms, do you want, it's all going to be ADA
Right.
compliant, of course, but there are certain things that are going to add cost to your building. We had $30,000 worth of brickwork on our building we took out, that the architect drew in. We didn't need that. We did the little bit in the front, that took 20 grand off our end project. So we made those decisions. It was easy for Ron and I to do that because we were doing it, but we need people to tell us what they want in the building so we know what to add.
So you're not asking for an architectural drawing, and you're not asking for an architect, right, Sue?
You're going to need them.
You're just
You're going to need them, but you have to go forward. If you're going to go forward with something like this, you want to do it right.
correct.
Right. And we'll
Trying to
jump
get
in
it
and
clear.
help all the way through this process, but you guys need to put it on paper, say this is what we're looking for. Now we can get a real cost for you. And it would be cheaper if the community or the senior center and this building went at the same time, because when you have the contractor on site, you have the electrician, the plumber, everything goes down the line. Everything goes one-time deal. You don't have to come back and add a building on another building. Everybody's there, everybody's working, the job is done.
So it's going to save us money?
It would save you money in the long run.
What is that time?
You're not starting from scratch again.
Your schedule for the senior center is when?
We don't know if we go back to township court.
Bill?
Ron, could you by next month ask the architect to give us some rough idea of what it's going to cost?
What we could do is sit down with Bill and whoever you want,
I'll be more than happy to sit down
find
with you.
people Bill service and say, okay, this office, you want 4 wall plugs, you want carpet here, you want tile there, you want, this is a big garage, how many wall plugs? And then we just go back to Jack and Dennis and say, okay, give us a ballpark based on this. What would it cost to build this?
Then report it back to us.
We can do that. And we just, keep in mind, we just pretty much did our last payout last month, so I mean, a lot of the figures are gonna be pretty close to what we did. It's not like it's 2 years ago and we're looking for drywall, butters, tapers, concrete. Keep in mind, we had 1 bathroom, so we had to all new bathrooms, 2 bathrooms. Everything from saw cut the floor to make it ADA compliant, HVAC, furnaces, everything.
Do you have fiber optics out there?
We got charter, that's all I'm saying.
Does the board want that? Is that a consensus of the board to have them do it?
I would think we just go to the architect and have them draw the plans up like they should be drawn up, and then let the contractors take it from there. You're going to have them drawn up anyway. If the architect that they're using now is sufficient, fine. We're not going to get a concrete or close to a concrete price without architectural drawings. And if we decide to go forward with this, whether we have architectural drawings now, we're going to have them later.
We have to consider too that we're not going to be building it tomorrow, we're going to be building it a year and a half from now. So the first thing would be to get some drawings. Because things could change in a year. But we could get an estimate.
You have to decide if this is the way you want to use your energies. This is the direction you're going to go.
We have to choose one way or the other.
Right.
And we would probably recommend an audit for this building if you're planning on going into this building, just so you don't get in here, get in, and then get pinched. For ADA and all your other things that you need to apply to.
We've already had that done.
Okay.
It's a board pleasure.
So what's the board's pleasure? What do you want to do?
I'll make a motion to have Bill engage the services of the architect that they're using to draw up formal plans.
I'll support.
Just for the record, we're using Steve Auger out of Lake Orion.
Right.
Local.
I'll amend my motion to include the name Steve Auger, the architect from Lake Orion.
And for location 3, correct? Are we making that decision?
Yes, for the Seymour Lake facility.
I would feel a lot better if we could get some sort of a guesstimate before we go to full-fledged plans. If this goes through, that we get some sort of an estimate of what the charges are going to be for architectural and for construction. We can maybe get it within 10 or 15% and give us a better idea of what we're getting into.
Get a rough idea.
We can go see it tomorrow. We can go see it tomorrow.
Who supported that?
That would be me.
No.
I think he de-supported.
What's that?
You're not in favor of going for architectural plans? Is that
I
what you-
said yes.
Oh, I thought you said you would.
I support it.
Yeah.
But what I'd like before you go full-fledged, come back to this board. So
Oh.
they feel a little better with the way they voted, because you can always
Right.
undo your vote.
Terry, did you get that motion?
I hope, I've got a rough draft of it.
All right.
Yes, I
Okay, we have a motion by Hunwick, supported by Dunn. Roll call, please.
Read the motion back as you read it.
Motion to engage the architect, Steve Auger, to get a cost estimate and come back to the board for building number 3.
Okay, here we go. Hunwick,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Sotheby,
Yes.
Dunn, yes. Bozarde,
Yes.
the
Fourth Monday in September.
Yeah, the
September
last Monday.
25th.
September 25th.
Okay, Lori, the capstone project?
Okay, we have long talked, just I think between ourselves, about the possibilities and how we might go about surveying residents to find out more of the things that they would like to see on OCTV, to kind of get a better gauge of who's watching and what types of shows that they would prefer. And kind of just an odd set of circumstances, Drew Benson, who is here in the village helping out, approached me about his master's project. It's called the Capstone Project, which is kind of like a thesis. And he actually has quite an interest in broadcasting, and I'll let him kind of speak to his interests. But it was kind of a neat situation where we had got talking one day, and I could see that he was really interested in the whole idea of broadcasting and being involved with OCTV. And then he approached us about possibly doing a capstone project. So Drew, if you want to come up.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Drew Benson. Before I start this conversation, I do want to highlight, I do work for the Village of Oxford, but I'm standing here not as an employee for the village. I'm completely independent of that, just to sort of start this. But yeah, just in my time here, one of the projects that we've been talking about is with the facilities, right? And that's how I met Lori, and obviously I know Sue, met Bill before as well. And we started talking about, with the facilities project, it also comes down to understanding, what do you need from your facility? Wherever you choose to be, what do you need? And then it comes back to the question, well, we're creating content for our audiences. What do they want to see? And what feedback can you all get to help do a better job of that, to really meet the needs of your community and improve? So this all comes back to a project that I did. I also work for the city of Rochester, and a major project I did for them was a comprehensive community survey. We sent it out to every household in that community, and I actually brought a copy of the report I put together for that. 24% response rate, which by large scale projects like that is pretty good compared to other similar surveying projects. But anyways, so what I've sort of tossed together for you all, and it's in your package, is a rough outline of some thoughts I had of how we could fulfill some of your needs and potentially fill a need for me as well. My background is as a public relations professional, and I'm now working on my master's in public administration at Oakland University. And so really what I'm interested in is communications in the public sector. How can community organizations, how can nonprofits, how can governments better connect with their communities? And I thought that this would be a great way to sort of fill a need and utilize the skill set that I have, while also potentially giving you all some more information about your organization from an external perspective. And the second part of it is from an internal perspective. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, or even elaborate in more detail about sort of the thoughts that I've had proposed. So it depends on how much you want me to talk.
Could you expand on partnering?
I don't have a copy of that in front of me.
It says Drew Benson, a master's student at Oakland University, has approached us regarding the possibility of partnering with OCTV for his capstone project. What does partnering mean?
In this context, I would be what you consider an independent or a consultant, independent contractor, sort of. So it would be a partnership between myself and your organization, as opposed to any sort of formal employment agreement or anything along those lines. Does that make sense?
It makes sense if you're doing it for nothing. It makes sense.
Well, I chose the word partnering.
I mean, is there financial part of this that
well, there are two parts to that. I
guess that's where I'm going with
yes,
partnering.
I get where you're
expand
going
that a little.
Depending on the way that that you all decide that if you'd like to go about this at all, that's the beginning part. There's no commitment or anything at this time. But depending on the depth of the project, there would be a relatively significant time commitment on my part, and I would be interested in having a conversation about some sort of compensation for that. But again, it depends on the scope of the project. But part of the larger cost, at least with the initial project that we had talked about with surveying, there is a cost involved with that as well. And that, no matter how you go about that, there is a cost involved with that. But in this context, yeah, to answer your question, for some part of this, yes. And that's a conversation we can have in greater detail as we get farther along in this conversation, should you all choose to do so.
What kind of time frame are you expecting to do a project in?
So my thought process and what I put together in this outline is, on its largest scale, is a two-part project. The first part would not be for my master's project. I've suggested doing your external analysis, if you will, the surveying project, and connecting with your, with your different community members in the fall this year, and then taking that information, and this would be created in collaboration with staff members, with you all. This is what this is me bringing a skill set that I have, it's experiences that I have, and helping you all get the most out of an investment like this. That's the idea for the first part. So that would happen ideally this fall. Have a report together, and then use that in the spring, or winter and spring, for what I would like to do my actual master's project on, which is we'll call it an internal analysis of the organization. So you take that information from your external analysis. What did the survey say? What did the people in our community say about what content they like, maybe what don't they like, how well are we communicating with them through different forums, things like that. And then taking that, there goes my pen, and then taking that with your internal analysis to say, all right, what does our staff think about X, Y, and Z? And how does that compare to what our outside constituents said? And then also bringing it back to the facilities project, which is sort of what spurred this conversation in the first place. Knowing how we're doing internally and externally, what do we need from the facility? What's the space? Do we need a large soundproof room for doing productions? Things like that. All of this information would be to help inform investments or time and monetary investments going forward. So I would like to do the larger comprehensive analysis in the spring for my actual capstone.
And so when you're looking at compensation, are you considering something for project in total, or are you considering how many hours you're putting into it?
That would be part of the conversation. I would say project in whole. Admittedly, it would be hard to gauge on an hourly basis. I mean, you could do it and submit invoices or do it that way, but admittedly, with a student project, it may take me longer. The other side of that coin is that I'm probably cheaper than I will tell you as an example why I did this project for Rochester. To have a professional surveying company come do that, upwards of $20,000. When I did this, and I did this 95% by myself, and I can provide references to that as well, but the total cost, including all of the materials and all that, and my time, came out to around $10,000. So that's sort of the value there, is that, and I wouldn't want to put it on a time basis, right? Because it might take me a little bit longer than a fully staffed surveying company, but at the end of the day, do you get the results that you want? And then that would be, again, part of the larger conversation should this be something that you're all interested in or with in some capacity or another.
I did want to give some pricing that Drew did take the time to price out, but I had submitted the packet since I was on vacation last week. He had priced out direct mail postcards, a 6x4 postcard. Apparently, he was able to find a place that tells how many homes there are in our coverage. And in total, we have 11,634 homes. If we were to actually choose to mail a postcard to every single one of them, it would cost approximately $3,128. I don't know that we would need to do a mail out to everybody. And as far as surveying, you can also use online surveys, SurveyMonkey, or you had mentioned.
Well, that would be, I'll elaborate on that as well. I actually brought an example of such a postcard. It's the same size, it wouldn't look like this, but how it works is you do it in tandem. In this instance, so you send out this informational postcard that's not just to invite to the survey. It's also a branding exercise, we'll say that, right? It's an opportunity to say, hey, this is who we are. Check us out. We're on this channel. Here's some highlights. Also, participate in our survey. And when you send it out to that many, really what you do is you give yourself the widest option for participation. There's also the added benefit of with the mailing to invite you to participate in the online survey. You can do it in such a way that you have individualized codes on each postcard, so you can guarantee that each household will only have one opportunity to respond, so you're not getting the same person submitting 20 surveys or anything like that. So you can get a little bit more reliability that way as well. That's another factor into the reason that I suggested it in that way in the packet, or in the outline that I submitted. And it doesn't have to go that way. That's a methodology that is reliable. Admittedly, a little expensive, but with every door direct mailing, you're paying 17.7 cents per item that you're mailing out, compared to, I don't know what's average posting for a letter, like 50 cents or something. So, that's how the mailing works in that sense.
Ed?
Can you put forward or present to us various proposals that you could, I mean, you must have something in mind. Meet with Bill or Terry and get some idea of what might be beneficial to the radio station and put together some proposals, and
yes,
we can act on it quickly?
That's why, that's
okay.
why I'm here.
I just want to add to that. So on September 15th, I'm going to do a station tour on the west side of the state. There'll be 8 stations. I invited Drew to go with me so that he can also find out about other public access stations. He worked in PR in colleges for the universities, right? So he's got experience as far as public addresses are concerned and PR is concerned. I invited him to learn about public access stations. I don't know, I don't know if he's able to find out whether he can go or not. And I also told him to get information, talk with Bill and I, Mike Watsa, and some instructors like that. So we've already spoken about where he can gain access to public access stations and public.
And actually, it's just adding to that. That's another part of the overall analysis for the final master's project that I would submit to you all. And it's, that trip is for learning best practices and seeing what other organizations do, whether it's budgetary, whether it's with their facilities, all of those things. That's the point of this, final analysis, is to say, where are we in comparison to what other organizations do, and what are some ideas that we could that maybe we hadn't heard of or implement and implement them in our own organization, maybe save a couple dollars, maybe to improve the way that we communicate with our public, across the board. So yes, to answer your question, I can. This is my introduction to you all, and if you'd like to move forward, I'd be happy to bring a more formal proposal to you all next month and sort of go from there.
So what's everybody's pleasure?
Somebody make a motion, we'll find out.
I make a motion that we have Drew put together a proposal of what he can do for us, I guess.
Is that what you were looking for?
I was looking for a proposal of what he wants to present to us as for what services he wants to provide to us.
Well, that's kind of what this says, isn't it?
Well, how much is it going to cost?
Okay, so you're looking for prices.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
formal proposal.
Yeah. For the surveying part, I can say, just based on experience, having done a similar project, the most expensive part for surveying is the actual printing cost and all that. And I can provide.
Well, if you can just give us all the information we need, and we can make an informed decision at that point. That would make more sense to me.
Okay, you support it then?
I'll support it.
Okay, we have a motion by Sotheby, supported by Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Aye.
Okay. Cable Commission Attorney, Bill?
It seemed like before I got here, we had an attorney called Mike Watsa, who was voted on, I'm sure, to be our attorney. And I was kind of curious at how Bob Davis all of a sudden became the attorney. Was there a vote to hire Bob Davis?
Yes.
Yeah.
It went, so it's in our meeting minutes to hire Bob Davis. I have a problem with that. I know he represents, I love Bob. I get along great with him, but I have a problem because he represents Addison Township, the village of Oxford. So what's his fiduciary responsibility? I would no more want to put Gary Rentrop as our attorney. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a conflict there, and I don't like it.
It was actually, I think the reason that it got brought up is it was kind of covering a lot of the contracts that were being worked on at the time were the interlocal. So, and Buck actually suggested Gary at the time that we were voting on that. But we were having some difficulties with Mike Watsa. We were getting invoices that we weren't expecting. We decided we didn't need that highly specialized of an attorney, that most of what we were working on at the time could be handled by Mr. Davis.
I would feel a lot more comfortable as a member of this board as if we hired someone that is not associated with any of our communities. So we get an independent thought. There's no question whatsoever that there's a problem. Again, the fiduciary responsibility, who's he representing? You can't have two masters.
Was he hired as
You might go to the thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
I mean, if he was just retained for purposes of the proposed interlocal agreement, that's one thing. Was he hired by the commission to be the general counsel, or just for that specific purpose? That's the question. I don't know.
It was for general counsel, but at that point we were having our employee issue. So there was never anything that I can think of that came up that...
Part of it was Mike Watsa was going to big meetings representing us and billing us. And he was gathering information about legislation for cable. And we didn't feel we needed to pay for all of that. I mean, we were getting big bills.
Well, he was involved in when we brought the suit against, who?
AT&T.
AT&T.
Yep.
And we were involved with a huge amount of other cable stations. And it cost us a ton of money to fight that. And then we got bills afterwards that we didn't okay, but on behalf of that big group, he was going in to these meetings and questioning legislation and so on and so forth, and we didn't feel that we needed to be involved at that extent. He's very expensive, and we just felt that we needed somebody of counsel that could advise us on our employee handbook, and we were going through some problems with management at the station and this and that. So it was more that way. I think Mike is a highly specialized attorney. I would never want to hire him just to be of counsel to answer a question.
I didn't know. But I just have a problem with an attorney representing two people.
Well, that was, I think, purposely the idea of it at the time, though, because with the interlocal, we figured he was, we were going to have to take those back to our boards anyways, and that way we knew that both of our interests were represented. But if you're uncomfortable with it,
I can just be on the record being uncomfortable with it and check on it, because I don't think it's proper. I think we could hire a local attorney. If we need a specialized attorney, we can get one.
Right, and nothing has come up in the last couple of years that we needed a specialized attorney. It's been small stuff.
Like I said, I like Bob. I really do. It's nothing against him. He can't be making a lot of money on us.
No.
But I think just for the appearance, just for appearance, though, I think we need another attorney.
Well, then if that's the pleasure of the board, then we need to send out an RFP. And
I know all the time I've been on the board, Bob hasn't been involved in anything that was conflicting with any of the other, the communities. It was all basically just to advise us. there wasn't anything advising us that was something we needed that would be, you know, contrary to what one of the, you know, Addison or Leonard or the Village of Oxford, Oxford Township, and he was just helping us with our legal issues that were just ours, that had nothing to do with the entities.
If this board wants to continue with Bob, fine.
But I would think if an issue came up where, you know, if we were fighting one of the, yeah, I would have to agree with you. If we were fighting one of the other community, we would have to get a different attorney. I would agree with that. But at this point, we've only used him in a way that he was non-conflicting.
I just wanted to make my feelings noted. Not going to make a big deal of it.
So what's...
But this board did have a motion on the record that they voted for Bob. Okay. I'm fine.
So no resolution? Just committee reports. Anybody on technical, personal, facilities? Okay, Bill, do you have a manager's report?
I think came up last Friday. For the third year in a row, OCTV won another Physical Award this year. Philo Award. This is the station one for the program My Life, was done by our producer and host John Ogen and our photographer, editor Russell Currier. Once again, there's 5 states competing for that festival with over hundreds of public stations. We're really, really proud of our crew. That's a third in a row. That's really great for us. And by the way, YouTube, for coming up July, this portion of August, got 8,000 hits on YouTube. That's pretty exciting again. That's it.
Commissioner comments? We'll start, Bill.
Yeah, could you congratulate these people on my behalf? Maybe put it in their performance report. It probably won't get them more money, but it makes it harder for them to be fired.
Good idea. Yes, sir.
And congratulations to all of them.
Sure.
I would go right along with Bill. I think it's great that we have such good employees.
Laura?
Nothing for me.
Ed?
I just want to say thanks to the leadership of Addison and Leonard for coming out today and providing some input. That was very helpful, at least from my perspective.
And I want to echo Bill and Cher's thing. Tell the employees thank you. It's very proud of them.
Yes.
And I want to wish everybody a safe and happy Labor Day coming up here in a couple days.
That's it. I'll move to adjourn.
Support. Public comment?
Oh, no comments from the audience?
Public comment?
I just want to make one comment.
Sure.
Blah,
blah.
All right, I was talking up, I thought. I just want to refer to what Mike McDonald said about us being way out there if we so choose. Orion Neighborhood Television is way out in one corner of the township, and they have a senior center attached to their building. They get a lot of recognition from the community. It's not even just a senior center, it's a community center. It's not just sports people that we would be appealing to if we were out there. It's networking with people. It's finding out other stories, other leads, other places, other events that we can go to by just being out there and talking to people. I'm surprised at how many people just stop by our station. We're way out there. Just to stop by and say, hey, did you know so-and-so does such and such on cars or something? Gives us some kind of great story lead. So the opportunities out there, yeah, Bill Dunn included, the opportunities out there are tremendous. If Ron says they get 10,000 people in a week, that's 10,000 people, half of those that we could talk to and find out what's going on. If we have a slow day, which we do once in a while, we could send somebody out there, or any one of us could go out there and just start talking to people. That gets our name around. And then say, you know, you can get these games You can watch them on OCTV, you can buy them, you can use them as an heirloom. In fact, we have a Addison Township trustee that called today that wants several copies of sports events for family heirlooms. So we're an important presence, and we need the people to know that, and if you got 10,000 people a day going by our door, I think it's going to help. Okay, I'm done, sorry.
If there's
Anybody
no
else?
You wait too much.
If there's no more, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dunn, supported by Sotherby. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
There you go.